Throughout the Orion Empire, many different tales and legends abound about Cloud Peak on the unseen summit. To the people who call it home, it has always been Vostok, the sacred mountain. Here for generations, the proud Voshi have lived in near perfect isolation, and perhaps would have existed without notice, if not for the coming of Gormaz, the Sunday. The blue dragon sought to make his roost upon the mountain, terrorizing the villages of Orion and the lands its base. The leaders of the Volsci, content to let lowland problems find lowland solutions, forbid the warriors of the Temple of Lanch from intervening. A warrior, gifted in the ways of Granch, which is a primordial word roughly translating to avalanche, refused to allow innocents, even lowlanders, to suffer the terror of a dragon. Gathering a small group of like-minded warriors, eager to test themselves, he leads them down the mountain to challenge the dragon. Granch is a fighting style specializing in unrelenting attack. Everything is a weapon, and its masters use a variety of throwing weapons to press the attack, while closing the distance for even more fury. It was a long-fought battle, with half of Rhino's comrades falling. But finally, the final blow is delivered, and the legend of the Volsci is born. Ebrahim the Rhino, the Quakebringer, as the mountain itself shuddered from the magical force of his blows. Taking 2 fangs for himself, he delivers the remains of the dragon to the largest village near the base of the mountain, along with the promise that the Volsci will end their isolation and come to the world to test their strength. He returns to Vostok, and with both brawn and brain convince the people and the warriors of Lanch that a stone's strength is meaningless without being tested, and it's time for the Volsci to join the world. Leading a few missions into Orion, Ebrahim makes a small name for himself as both a strong warrior and a wise advisor. Before returning to Vostok in the temple to take up the position of abbot, the great cloud is cleared away, and the path of the Temple of Launch is open, and anyone who wishes to test themselves against the strengths of the mountain and its people.
In one of the more rural logging towns in the Orion Empire, Flynn Jacoby was regarded as a regular man for most of his young adult life. After being harassed and imprisoned for taxes and failure to pay, he led a revolt against the tyrant bannerlord Ursane. Flynn and his best friend Tyrell the Smaller led a group of men in the revolt, overthrowing the evil Ursane and helping to restore peace and prosperity to the region. Since then, Flynn and Tyrell the Small have banded together a group of like-minded men and have a small fort, of sorts, in the forest of Sherwood. From here, they head out and dispatch evil of the lands wherever it may pop up. With his trusty longbow Sherwood, he makes quick work of creatures and horrors alike, constantly trying to better his aim, using headshots as his killing blow. One of his more well-known exploits since becoming the hero of Sherwood has been taking on a lich and defeating it with his men, all severely wounded, including Tyrell. This took time and planning. However, months were spent collecting books, overhearing gossip, and learning of the creature's habits before the ambush was set. It was from this point forward Flynn Jacoby was known as the Watcher in the Woods.
Lady Mar, help us!
Their screams traveled through the water and towards a brightly colored reef.
The sea hags have returned!
Bursting forth from the reef, a metallic shimmer speeds through the dark water, leaving a trail of green, gold, and blues. Her speed is unmatched by any who would try and keep up. This is her water. This is her home. The streaking shimmer is almost blinding as it slows to a halt in front of the 2 Triton younglings. Where are they? The words bellow with a sense of authority from within the full-faced helm. There, treading water, a female Triton clad in splint armor that shimmers with a holy light. She pulls up her long-blade staff as to ready herself for battle.
They are right here!
The younglings' voices crack as their well-mannered demeanor turns cold and frightening, while their childlike figure seems to melt away, leaving behind an ancient and terrible visage. Cracked and eel-like skin, barely draped over their frail bones, the sea hags are as horrendous as they are powerful.
Help us, Lady Mar!
they both say as they giggle and raise their hands as they glow with a dark energy. Fools. The holy light amplifies as she glides towards the two vile creatures, bring her blade down, across and through. The wretched sea hags float stunned for a moment, not fully understanding how far from alive they are now. The pieces of evil separate and float apart as a metallic shimmer flashes away back towards her reef. She only answers to the Commodore, and he only answers to the King of Orion. So for the king to send for aid is rare, but to specifically ask for Feliz is even more odd. She is more than welcome to help, but she wishes not to leave. Not now. Not after the most recent rumblings from the deep. Just the word makes her green blood runs cold. Kraken. She fears nothing. She tells herself that all the time. But she remembers. She remembers the screams. She remembers the cries of the younglings as the buildings crashed to the sea floor. She remembers when the Kraken brought its wrath before. The battle was hard fought, but they were able to repel the beast to the deepest fathoms. But now the scouts report sounds. Sounds from the deep. She remembers.
As a product of rape, Ragnar's mother always thought of him as a burden. In a drunken rage, she tried to murder him in his sleep when he was only 8 years old. Barely escaping with his life, Ragnar was forced to lead himself onto the streets. After one brutal battle when he was caught stealing from a group of bandits, he was discovered and nursed back to health by Lamatar, a dominus. Lamatar honed Ragnar's fighting skills to a razor's edge and forced him to fight in the Warpath Coliseum. He slowly worked his way up through the hordes of opponents and became a crowd favorite and eventually won his freedom. Ragnar wanted more to life than just violence and bloodlust, and eventually settled down with a human female named Solara, who gave birth to a daughter, Jaya. One day, Ragnar's violent past caught up with him, and the dominus of a defeated opponent slaughtered his family when he was toiling as a blacksmith. Ragnar tracked down the dominus and slowly, painfully dismantled him, bit by bit. In his rage, Ragnar set forth, forging his weapons of destruction, and set out to fill the void in his heart with bloodshed.